Joining us live is Labor MP Julian Hill and Liberal MP Keith Wallahan. Good morning to you both. The United States has fully endorsed the dismantling of Hezbollah's capabilities. Penny Wong wants to talk. Julian, why should Israel sit back and cop it while Lebanon and now Iran clearly have no interest in diplomacy?
Well, what we've seen overnight, and those scenes on the television that I was just watching with you then, of ballistic missiles firing around the region, in this case into Israel, are horrific. It's a worrying escalation of the cycles of violence. It's exactly what the international community, including Australia, have been concerned about in recent weeks, that this may escalate into a wider regional war. The calls to de-escalate, to allow time for diplomacy and also for collective intervention to guarantee the security of Israel and a future Palestinian state, I don't think they're misplaced. I don't accept the characterisation that a call to de-escalate and stop firing missiles at countries in the region is somehow limp-wristed. I just don't accept that characterisation.
Well, Iran and Lebanon are not interested in that.
The level of civilian deaths which has been seen in the region, in every part of the region, is completely unacceptable.
Yeah, now, but Julian, look, 60,000 Israelis have been moved from their home in the northern part of Israel. Why shouldn't they respond when they've been almost a year now being hit regularly by rockets and missiles?
Well, of course they will respond. I mean, it's not rocket science, pardon the pun, to say if you fire rockets at someone, they're going to fire stuff back. They're the cycles of violence which we've seen in the region for decades. And we can all sit and commentate, as is your job. I'm not having a go on what happened last night and what happened the night before and what might happen tomorrow. The point that I'm making, that the government's making, and that we're trying to work with like-minded countries right across the world, is that where does this stop? How do we actually end the cycles of violence? Because if you're a student of history, sadly, and I think Keith and I would probably agree on this, there's not a lot of optimism that without collective intervention or guaranteeing of the security of the State of Israel and a future Palestinian state, that these cycles will stop. These conflicts can go on for decades and centuries, and that's what we need to focus on as the international community. How do we actually guarantee the security of the State of Israel and guarantee the security of a future Palestinian state?
All right, Keith, is there a gulf in positions between the US and our government?
Julian brought up us being students of history, and students of history would know that deterrence is key to peace, and key to deterrence is strength. There's a huge role for diplomacy, but diplomacy alone is not going to keep Israel safe and keep the region free from massive conflict. And we are closer to that from what we've seen last night. Let's look at the numbers. 60,000 Israelis have been displaced in the north of Israel. 8,000 rockets have come since the 7th of October. Hezbollah has 150,000 rockets that we know of. Iron Dome is an effective system, but it's not perfect. So it is not acceptable that terrorist organisation with that many rockets is sitting on Israel's border. So, of course, they're going to look at doing something about it. And we have significant partnerships with the United States, and they are much more engaged in the region. So when we have a disconnect between our view and the United States view, we should ask why. Like, does Penny Wong know better than the Secretary of State of the United States? And the United States was key to this, that civilians not being killed last night. Iron Dome was important, but so was the intervention of the United States military, which has been a force for good in this conflict.
Okay.